Pat Robertson spoke about ISIS and Islam. Oh boy, this should be fun.
You wonder, maybe the best thing that ever happened to the world is for these crazies in ISIS to keep on beheading people and doing some of these extreme things. You know, I was reading, they had beheading in the Ottoman Empire, but from what I understand, in 100 years or so, there was only one beheading in all that time. And now we're having them. I mean, ISIS is just, and it's shocking Muslims. Listen, you've heard all this business about Islam being a religion of peace. Islam does not mean peace, it means submission. But here's a book. It's called Islam, a Religion of Peace or War. We'll be glad to give this to you free. You really need it. You need to see what's here because they're quotes directly from the Quran, directly from the life of Muhammad, and directly from what is being done and what is being said.
Did you catch it at the beginning there? He said, the best thing that happened to the world was ISIS beheadings. What? I thought you're against ISIS. I thought you're against Islam. You make it kind of clear the rest of the time you are, right? So why would you say ISIS beheadings are the best thing to happen? Why would they be a good thing by any stretch of the imagination? Now, when I first saw this and I was clipping it out and stuff for the show, I wasn't grasping it. I was like, why the fuck would he say? Why would he say that? Why would he say that? Then it came to me. Oh, I see. The reason why, and that was kind of a Freudian slip. I don't think he really meant to say that out loud, but the reason why he said it is he loves the dichotomy that sets up in the world. Because then he gets to point at them and say, ISIS. See, the Muslims are not a religion of peace. Here's a book about how they're not in a religion of peace. And it's them versus us. You're either with us or against us. So he's setting up this argument of you're either with the good guys or you're with the bad guys. So it's a good thing when ISIS is beheading people and acting like savages because that backs up my narrative of they're all savages, they're all evil, they're all bad, and whatever we want to do to them is justified because we're the good people. We're the good people. And that's what this comes down to. And by the way, that's why I always say, I think there's a tremendous difference between when atheists and new atheists critique Muslims and critique Islam versus some idiot right-winger or some Christian fundamentalist critiquing Islam. Because the baggage that comes along with it when a right-winger does it makes the entire criticism and the entire point untrue and ridiculous. Because he's like, you know, the idea is, oh, bad religion, look at the fundamentalism, it's so terrible, I can't believe they do that and act like that. Meanwhile, what are you? You're a religious fundamentalist, you prick! How many times have you've spoken about faith healing for people. You've implied that you don't want people to go to the doctor when they have cancer and when they have serious issues and they should pray to Jesus and you'll help them with your voodoo magic nonsense. The policies you're in favor of, unfortunately, are right in agreement and in alignment with Muslim fundamentalists. And therein lies how hilarious it is when Pat Robertson goes after other religions, is that, dude, you don't even realize it, but you more agree with them than you agree with liberals. And in fact, again, I always go back to this moment because it was so illuminating, but Brian Fisher had a caller into his show. Brian Fisher, another evangelical Christian radio host, calls into his show, and the guy's like, well, Brian, look, I have to admit, man, I know it might not be something that people want to hear, but I actually would prefer living under Sharia than living under the kind of government that liberals want. And Brian Fisher was like, yeah, rock and roll. Yeah, no, I totally get it. I totally get it. Why? We'll go down the checklist. They're against gays, we're against gays. They're in favor of pushing religion in school, we're in favor of pushing religion in school. They want women to know their place, we want women to know their place. We're in favor of, a backwards economic system, they're in favor of a backwards economic system. You go down the checklist, we're militaristic and like being imperialist, they're militaristic and like being imperialist. You go down the list, they agree! So for Pat Robertson to attack Islam or fundamentalists is like Dick Cheney attacking imperialism. No, you agree with them. You're the last person who can make any kind of criticism of organized religion because you represent the worst of organized religion. And understand, man, like I said, I am no fan of any religion. I dislike Islam just as much as I dislike Christianity, just as much as I dislike Mormonism or Scientology or whatever. But again, that goes back to another one of the points I made, which is there's a big difference between an intellectual breakdown of why you think the doctrine of Islam is wrong and any kind of criticism that would come out of the mouth of Pat Robertson against Islam. Because what he's doing and what he's trying to set up is this false narrative of they're all bad, we're all good. No, they're not all bad. You're certainly not all good. It's much more nuanced than that, and the reality is the fundamentalists in both religions are the problem, and you much more agree with their fundamentalists than anybody on the left does and any sane person does.